Iran's leaders are known for playing the long game, but this time the pressure may be harder to absorb. A US naval blockade is tightening around Iranian ports, bringing unprecedented challenges as its impact ripples across the country. Estimates indicate that the country's losses may exceed $400 million per day. Put simply, the blockade chokes off an economy where over 90% of trade flows through ports, generating nearly $110 billion annually. There is another technical challenge linked to storing oil under a blockade. Reports suggest Iran entered the blockade around 15 million barrels already stored on Karak Island, a key oil hub. Because exports are restricted, more oil keeps building up in storage. At current levels, that means the facility could reach full capacity in about 8 days. If production is slow to ease pressure, the timeline only extends to around 20 days before storage is full, forcing difficult decisions over whether to cut output or risk shutting down parts of the oil system entirely. But that presents another complication. Closing wells can damage underground reservoirs and undermine future production. At that stage, the blockade is no longer just about stopping exports. It becomes a threat to Iran's oil infrastructure itself. There is also the issue of domestic fuel consumption. Every Iranian consumes more than 1 liter of gasoline per day. As a result, the country already faces a daily shortfall of around 14 million liters, which could rise to as much as 77 million liters in a crisis. This gap is covered by imports, which cost the state around 340,000 riyals, about $8 per liter, but are sold domestically for just 15,000 riyals, which is around 3 cents. If imports are cut off, it could directly affect people's daily lives and livelihoods. Although Iran's strategic gasoline reserves stand around 1.56 billion liters, under a tight blockade, they could last no more than 12 days. Before this, Iran relied on 2 key ways to bypass years of sanctions and restrictions. One was known as floating oil, where crude was stored on tankers offshore, allowing production to continue and preventing damage to oil fields if pumping came to a sudden halt. The other was the shadow fleet, a network of tankers operating outside tracking systems, using hidden identities and ship-to-ship transfers to sell oil beyond international oversight. If both methods are disrupted by the US's blockade, Iran could face a shortage of hard currency, putting pressure on its banking system, currency value, and everyday life. These developments could trigger wider social and political consequences that are hard to predict, unless Iran manages once again to outmaneuver the blockade.